Welcome into oddshark.com as we get you set for the national semifinal in college basketball, also known as the Final Four. Only 4 teams remain in the quest to cut down the nets and win the national championship. We're going to get you set to wager on both games coming up on Saturday night. I'm Nick Kostos of SiriusXM and Bleacher Report, joined as always by my good friend Maddie Simo. Maddie, how are you today, my friend? Are you set for an outstanding weekend of college hoops?
I think so, man. I mean, it's a little anticlimactic. I know you took all 4 number 1 seeds to go to the Final Four. You got 3 out of the 4 here, and Michigan State was a little underseeded, I think, in the tournament. I know you're not a big fan of them, but we can go into that in a bit here. But I think you've got 3 of the best 4 teams in America anyway. The other one, we'll see kind of what happens, I guess, this weekend.
We're going to hit you with best bets and trends for each of these 2 games, Duke and Michigan State, Wisconsin and Kentucky. Let's start with the early game on Saturday, Maddie. It's the Duke Blue Devils against the Michigan State Spartans, and I feel like Captain Ahab and Tom Izzo, Michigan State, is my white whale because I've wagered against Sparty 4 times thus far in the NCAA tournament, and they have covered the spread all 4 times in truly devastating fashion. And look, I know the love affair with Tom Izzo and Michigan State. They get it done every March. March is Izzo time, and seemingly it's the truth when you look at how they've won these games. Georgia couldn't make a shot in the first round. They beat a Virginia team that couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, and then outlasting Oklahoma and, of course, Louisville to get to the Final Four. But I think the magical run for Michigan State will end on Saturday night as they face a significantly more talented team in Mike Krzyzewski's Duke Blue Devils. Duke -5 in this game, Maddie, and I just think Duke has too much firepower when you look at Okafor and Justice Winslow and Cook and Tyus Jones. I'm not sure that Brandon Dawson of Michigan State can bang down low with Jahlil Okafor, and I just think Duke's got too much weaponry here. I think it's going to be a 3-point bonanza. I think Okafor has a massive game, and I think at the end of the day, talent will win out here over great coaching. And I think Duke covers the 5-point spread and advances to the national championship game. Maddie, what do you have for us on trends here, Duke and Michigan State?
Well, it's funny you mentioned great coaching, too, because the guy on the other side is not too bad himself, Coach K. I mean, he's really had Michigan State's numbers over the years. If you look at their past meetings, Duke's won 8 of the last 9 or 8 of the 9 meetings between them. When these 2 coaches are on the bench here. Michigan State was favored in the last 2 games as a number 7 seed, as the lower seed. Now, the crazy stat that sticks out for them that Izzo gets a lot of credit for, obviously, they're 13-9 straight up in the tournament as the lower seeded team. Now, this is a number 1 seed, second probably best team in America going into the tournament in Duke. And you've also got the fact that Michigan State 3-13 straight up in their last 16 games as an underdog, which I think speaks a lot to this situation here. You're talking about Michigan State as a favorite. They do very well in that situation, but they're an underdog for a reason here. They also have struggled in Final Four games. They're 1-4 straight up and against the spread in their last 5 Final Four games, and that does include the national championship game. And they were blown out by North Carolina a few years ago. I mean, they'll be lucky to get there. I mean, this Duke team is up there as about as a national champion in any other year. I mean, obviously you got Kentucky and Wisconsin on the other side, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Duke cut down the nets on Monday night. We'll see what happens.
All right, so I am picking Duke -5 on Saturday against my white whale, Tom Izzo, and Michigan State. I think Michigan State finally will be sent packing. Let's go to the second national semifinal on Saturday night, and truly, let's be honest, it's the main event of the evening.
National championship game, maybe.
That's exactly right. It's Wisconsin and Kentucky. We remember the amazing game they had in the Final Four last year. Aaron Harrison, cold-blooded, hitting the winning shot in the closing seconds for the Wildcats. Kentucky, a 5-point favorite here at 38-0, going for the undefeated season. Maddie, in the first video that we did before the first round of the NCAA tournament, I told you, my friend, that I was rolling with Bo Ryan, Frank the Tank Kaminsky, and the Wisconsin Badgers to win the NCAA tournament. So I got to stick with my pick here, and I'm going to take Wisconsin to cover the 5-point spread. I think Notre Dame gave you a little bit of a blueprint to beat Kentucky last Saturday. And the difference, I think, between Wisconsin and Notre Dame, Bo Ryan could coach Mike Brey underneath the table. If Bo Ryan had coached Notre Dame in that game, the Fighting Irish would have knocked off Kentucky and moved on to the Final Four. I think Sam Decker has really upped his level of play. You saw him last week against Arizona, unconscious from three-point range in the second half. Love Nigel Hayes as well. Listen, Kentucky, the best team in the nation for a reason. 38-0. I'm not trying to poo-poo their accomplishments or their achievements, but I think they're running into a hungry Wisconsin team that wants and needs to beat Kentucky after what happened last year. And I think the numbers just against Kentucky here, there hasn't been an undefeated national champion in college basketball since the Indiana Hoosiers in 1976. And I think Bob Knight can bop that bottle of champagne. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I like Wisconsin to cover the 5-point spread, and I like the Badgers to win the game outright, Maddie, in advance to the national championship game. What do you have for us on trends for this game, Wisconsin against Kentucky?
Well, I mean, you look at Kentucky and the scare they had against Notre Dame. You know, that dropped them to 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games as a favorite in the tournament. And that's going back to last year. You know, they were favored against UConn for the national championship and lost that game. You know, the only game they played really, really well was that West Virginia game. And that's when everyone kind of jumped on and said, hey, you know, this is the team we expected. And then they nearly lose. I mean, they were losing most of that game against Notre Dame. Let's not forget that. Notre Dame, you know, hats off to them, great run and stuff. But I do look at Wisconsin very similar to what you're saying. You know, they're kind of like a better version of that Notre Dame team. Frank Kaminsky, too, in the Final Four game last year, battled foul trouble, only had like 8 points. I think this is a redemption game for him. You know, you've got, I mean, I'm with you. I think you might have Jahlil Okafor going against Kaminsky in the national championship game. 2 guys who've kind of been, Okafor struggling, held to single digits the last couple of games. He's due for a big game. Kaminsky's got that kind of monkey on his back. You know, he can step up here. We're looking at a Wisconsin team that's 20-1 straight up the last 21 games. You know, and they're also fare pretty well as an underdog as well. They're 7-3 straight up and 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 games as an underdog. And this is the only second time they've been an underdog all season. And the first time was their last game against Arizona, which I thought the wrong team was favored. I'm not sure what the odds makers were thinking, going in with Arizona as the favorite to win that region when Wisconsin was a better team, overall this season. That's why they got the top seed in the West to begin with. So I'm with you there, Nick. I mean, Kentucky, great run, 38-0, but this is the team that I think has the best chance to beat them. If they do win this game, remember I took Kentucky in the beginning. I got a future riding on them. And, not to go on a limb too much. I mean, I know a lot of people, my 12-1 odds are going to be tough for anyone to beat. But, I like Wisconsin. I think they have a lot of value in the spot. And I think another good prop bet that I saw up on Bovada was Frank Kaminsky to win the most outstanding player in the tournament at 8-1. So if you're looking at Wisconsin maybe at 4-1 to win the tournament at this point, take a shot with Kaminsky. I know Decker's been on fire the last couple of games, but Kaminsky to win most outstanding player in the tournament at 8-1 is a great bet in my opinion.
Well, there you have it. Our 2 picks for Saturday's national semifinal games in the NCAA tournament. We like Duke laying the 5 points to beat Michigan State and cover the spread. And we are taking the Wisconsin Badgers to cover the 5-point spread. And if you want to put a little sprinkle on the Wisconsin money line, feel free, as I like Wisconsin, Maddie likes Wisconsin, to upend the undefeated Kentucky Wildcats. As always, before you place your wagers, you are nuts if you don't go to oddshark.com, which has the best write-ups, the best trends, all the matchups, all the information that you need for the national semifinal games you can find on oddshark.com. For Maddie Simo, I'm Nick Costos. Good luck and happy wagering.
And we'll see you Monday night for the national championship game.